Join us in one of the barns on Torrwood Farm in New York's Sullivan County, surrounded by rich historical pieces, many of which came from us here at Olde Good Things. Find your own piece of history at ogtstore.com. More on that later. Now, let's hear from David.
So, David, we're here at the farm.
Right.
Now, what exactly is the farm? Where are we? What is its history? What's this about?
Great question. We're in Sullivan County, New York, about 100 miles from New York City, and we're in the farm that my ancestors from Edinburgh, Scotland, settled in 1846.
Wow.
As noted on the registry plaque at the front of the gate. And they came over here as farmers, and there were 7 of them, and they cleared I don't know how many acres of land, at least 200. And once they had that, they made a little house, and then they sent for their wives, and their wives came over from Scotland, and the rest is history. And my father was left the farm, had 7 sisters, and his father left him the farm. And my dad persevered as a school teacher and made ends meet, but was able to keep the farm and left it to me. And I feel a very huge obligation to keep the farm in the Kerr family name and keep everything rolling and involve my sisters as guests and whatever, but the farm will never be sold. It'll stay in the Kerr family name, and it's just a wonderful place. I've been building buildings here the last few years to include 3 barns. The one is 1846 in Michigan, reassembled here. This one is 1858 from upstate New York, and we built a new one also for other purposes. So trying to keep things rolling.
So this farm has been in your family roughly 170 years.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive.
We used to own 500 acres, and then it was sold off as the brothers would want to go to Connecticut or whatever. And I'm on the original homestead of 120 acres. And I've since purchased another 30 acres in the last couple of years. So I'm kind of gradually getting things to kind of protect us being around.
So we're here obviously because you're 3 barns in your house that you've showed me is filled with Olde Good Things.
Olde Good Things. I met Olde Good Things because of our place in San Francisco, and that's done in French Art Deco. And I contacted Olde Good Things. I saw a listing that Olde Good Things had, and I contacted one of your people. She was very friendly, and we bought some things for our place in San Francisco, and that was the start of a great relationship. When I came back to the East Coast, I would visit your warehouse in Scranton, and it blew me away. The thrill of the hunt for pieces, and just the most beautiful salvage pieces that could not be replicated today. Beautiful materials, craftsmanship, just so many things. Doors, windows, flooring, lighting. You name it, and it seems that Olde Good Things would have it. I would often go into your stores in New York City because the best stuff is in New York City where the money is, and I understand that. And so I'd see things there, and then you people would be nice enough to bring them to Scranton, and I could pick them up there because that's only an hour from the farm here. So anyway, Olde Good Things, I'm their biggest fan is what I tell people, and I send people there all the time and ask them, hey, tell them who sent you. I want people to know that I sincerely appreciate their working with my friends.
What started your love for antiques?
Great question. I think it's mostly my older sister had beautiful antiques when I was in college, and I just would go to her house and just enjoy her furniture, go to other people's houses that had conventional furniture, and I just naturally gravitated towards antiques, and just it led me to not study them, I don't want to say that, but just become more acquainted with them and just appreciate the craftsmanship and the materials that they used, and it's just something I enjoy doing.
But what do you feel about like Olde Good Things, our architectural salvage? What do they bring? What do these pieces bring to a room for you?
An honest answer, you're not my brother-in-law, but I'm Olde Good Things' biggest fan. The materials that you have are just fantastic, and the people there have been so friendly, so nice. The pieces I've gotten are just fantastic. They're just from some of the finest buildings in New York City, in Philadelphia, and probably other cities of which I'm not aware. It's just a pleasant experience. I leave every time with a smile on my face because I know that I've seen the best stuff and I've gotten the best deal. That's it. If I had a magic wand, I'd want to do nothing for the rest of my limited life but build houses with salvage materials. The place to go is Olde Good Things. Olde Good Things is not the only salvage place that I visit, and I'm happy to say that they all acknowledge that Olde Good Things is right up there as perhaps the king of the road.
We've seen a lot of old good things and architectural pieces here today. What's your favorite piece out of everything that you've gotten so far?
Wow, I can answer that. I'd have to say, the cupolas, the two cupolas on the barn. They're just not found anywhere else. They were in the warehouse on Gilligan Street for years, and I didn't have the money and I didn't have the use for them, but every time I'd visit, I'd look at those and say, maybe someday. And the timing worked out for me that they were available when I had the means to do them and the opportunity to use them. That's a tough question because over my left-hand shoulder here is my latest piece, and so that's my latest joy. It's a factory cart from the late 1800s, and the people there met when we purchased it, said you really need a nice top on it. And I was just going to put this is an example, I was going to put a glass top on it, but it would have wobbled and it wouldn't have been right and the table wouldn't have set. One of your key people, design people, came along and said, hey, I can help. And my wife was with me, and it was nice to get her involved also. He said, what would be nice is if we used our antique chicken wire glass that we've salvaged from the Rockefeller Center Time Life building. And right away he had her. And so that makes my happy wife, happy life. And so she loved it, and you can see it behind me with a beautiful frame, so you don't have to cut your fingers on the glass. And it's just made for this barns. But that's a typical experience at Olde Good Things. If I monitor the inventory and what you people are having, because there's such a turn of inventory, and I just enjoy the pieces.
It is a big piece, and it looks really good here in the barn.
Now, this is not for everybody. You have to have a big place for it, and to me, it had our name on it when it made its way to Olde Good Things.
It really is a focal point.
This video is brought to you by Olde Good Things. We are an architectural salvage, and we take pride in the stewardship of the historical pieces we reclaim. We have a wide range of clients we work with, from movie studios for prop rentals to interior designers and set decorators. There are architects, home builders, and DIYers that swear by OGT. We have 3 stores and 2 warehouses full of treasures. So if you're working on a special project, please reach out through our web store, social media, email, or phone. I'm sure we have the right piece for you. And if not, we'll find it.
Well, you have a lot of family coming over here to the barn and to the farm, visitors, etc. When people see these different pieces, what's their reaction? What do they think? What do they say to you?
That's a good question. Some people don't react at all, so immediately I write them off. But most people will come in. They have to express some interest in the pieces. Some people it doesn't faze them. They like new and shiny, and so they're just not drawn to it. But the people with whom I'm associating myself can appreciate this, and they come in and see my weather vanes. They see this barn, which is all 1858 hand hewn, with the beautiful lighting that we got, by the way, at Olde Good Things. And it's just something that would be hard not to comment on, and I think even harder not to like, but that's my opinion.
Are there any special pieces here that you especially want to pass on to your children?
Great question. I'm hoping that none of the pieces ever leave the farm. And of course, maybe I'm making sure of that by making sure I'm getting pieces that are hard to fit through the door. I don't know. I'm hoping that, I have to say that most of my family comes in and does appreciate this, and they do appreciate the hunt, the thrill of the hunt that I've undergone. And I think they're going to enjoy these pieces as they grow old also. The kids, I think, will appreciate them more. Don't know, but I certainly hope so. They appreciate the farm, and they know they're in a different place when they're here. They're living in more modern places, but this is a farm, and it's the family farm, and let's hope that it's that it's in their DNA to like these things.
You once told us about a sink that you were looking at, but then you got a call from someone in New York.
If I'm thinking of the right story, we were doing our place in San Francisco, or French Art Deco, and I wanted a sink, I didn't know what to call it, with a real swoopy base. And I had seen one in a magazine. I said, wouldn't that, from the 1930s, I said, wouldn't that be neat? So I contacted Olde Good Things, and I talked to my contact there and said, listen here, I tried to describe it, probably did a poor job. And she said, well, I don't think we have anything like that. And I said, okay. She said, why don't you come by and we'll look and see if there's something else that might excite you, because we're still building our place in San Francisco. And so I came to a Gilligan Street warehouse, start walking down the aisle, and there it is in the middle of the aisle. She had pulled it out. It's known as the martini sink, and it's just got the most beautiful curves.
I've seen those, and they're really special.
So I bought it and went out to San Francisco and got a lot of oohs and ahs. My builder loved it, and to this day I get rave reviews on it, because you just don't see the beautiful porcelain over the cast iron, and it was in beautiful shape. So we're proud to show it to people.
Well, if someone was new to Olde Good Things, what advice would you give them that would help them find their first special piece?
Very good question. I'd say to leave the uninterested parties in the car, or give them a meal ticket to go somewhere and not rush you. You can't be rushed. You've got to walk through and take it in nice and slowly. There's too much to see. And if you've got somebody tugging on your shirt sleeve, are we gonna go now? It's gonna ruin the whole experience. Then take them home and come back another time when you can spend the time. I don't know where to start. Looking at doors, just some of the copper works. One's mind can just say, what can I have made out of that? I happen to have some people in my company that are clever. So when I bring them pieces of copper that you can't find anywhere else, they can take them and fashion them into something that can be used. The old moldings, if you're doing molding in a house, I mean, they've got so many the mirrors take your breath away. And they're made out of old moldings, and then you people put in the beveled glass, which makes it look ancient, and they're beautiful. So getting back to your original question, go with someone or without someone who's going to be tugging on your sleeve to go and just spend time, at least a half day. If you want to get serious and look at pieces, then go to both of the warehouses and just look, and then go home and digest it, and then just say, now I think I see what I like, and you can start to narrow your choices.
I remember, David, we were talking once about you were looking for a really special mirror, and you were getting ready to buy it, and then you got a phone call from someone.
Exactly. 3 years ago, we're doing our bedroom in our new farmhouse, and I wanted something that was nice. So I saw one, and it very nice, and I said, I can live with that. So I'm about to pull the trigger, and I don't know, I forget if it was you or one of your other colleagues called me and said, we've got a beauty up at the Broadway store. And I said, really? What are the measurements? It was bigger, and it was fancier. And I said, in this nice sense, it was just thick molding, just beautiful. I'd love to show it to you. And you've probably seen it, but I'd love to show it to you again. So they said, well, listen, why don't we take that one to Scranton and have you take a look at that? So we did, and I bought it, and it's my favorite mirror. It's breathtaking. I've never seen another one anywhere close to it. It's beautiful.
One thing I noticed when we were walking around is that all your rooms are very well coordinated, style-wise and color-wise. Who did that? You or your wife?
Nah, that's my wife. My wife. I buy them, and she figures out how to use. She calls herself my curator, and I'm very fortunate. 53 years with my wife, Marianne, and
Wow.
She's got a good eye. She's tends to be more of a minimalist, and I want to buy everything I see. So there are some battles, but at the end we usually work out, and I usually concede that she was right. She'd probably concede that on some things I was right. So maybe that's why we've been together for 53 years now.
You have a very eclectic taste, and yet at the same time it's very specific. What would you consider your taste to be?
Well, our houses are different, to be real honest. This farm is farm equipment and materials and furniture and what a typical farm would have. We're fortunate enough to have 3 other places. Our place in Newport Beach is American Queen Anne, and I have an extensive Canton collection,
Interesting.
porcelain collection. San Francisco is French Art Deco, and Orlando is 18th century Chinese with original finish and French bamboo. We tend to have themed houses, which I find more fun. When I go in somebody's house and it's all dedicated to a certain genre, I find that interesting, because then the person's usually more knowledgeable on that genre.
What's your favorite taste out of the above?
That's not fair, don't know. I would say maybe the farm equipment, because it's family.
Are you planning any more projects here?
We cleared a lot, my son did for his business, and we cleared a lot and saved the white oak timbers. And we also saved the maple timbers, which we're gonna make flooring from. But my goal would be to make a nice guest lodge using timbers from our very property, as well as others that I've gotten at nearby barns that they're taking down and salvage that. I love to use salvage materials. I kind of feel like I'm the original green guy, because I just love the things that have been used for other things and reusing them. That's just what excites me.
Dave, when we were walking around, I noticed a lot of things that you got from us were on our website or in our stores. But then I also noticed that there was a fair amount that were never online and never, came into any of our stores. How did you find out about some of these?
You know the answer to that. You would contact me, as would some of your colleagues, when they had an interesting piece. They know what I like to look for, and they'll text me and say, David, here's of interest. If not, no problem. We're giving you first shot. And so that's how I've gotten these pieces. You get first shot at it, which is quite exciting. And you've sent me some, and the latest one from you was a French clock face that you had and said, we haven't listed it yet, but it's about to be available. And I said, ooh, Joe, I like that. So I have that downstairs in the barn here.
You sure you want to say that? Because Marianne hasn't seen it yet.
No, I know, that's true.
We might have to cut that part out. Do you find it hard to coordinate? It's one thing with contemporary companies, but with antiques, it's a lot harder to find just the right thing to go in the right spot. Do you find it difficult to coordinate?
My quick answer to that would be, at my age, experience. And I've been in so many houses that have had different things, and you can just pick what you like, what could have been done better. I just get a feeling, and between my wife and me, we usually come up with something that looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. And it's fun doing it. It's not a chore at all.
Do you go to like a lot of design magazines, or you just really go with your gut instinct?
I go gut. I don't do too much. I'll look at magazines, and if I see something that catches my eye, but that's usually not the case.
Well, thank you, David, for having us over, giving us the tour. It was very interesting. We hope to see you again at the warehouse soon.
Oh, for sure. You will, and thank you for coming. Appreciate it. It's always fun to show the place to people who appreciate it. And it was especially fun to show you where the pieces I've gotten at Olde Good Things, how we've used them, and how nice they look when they're in situ.
Oh boy, what a guy that David is. His love for family, community, and antiques really shined there. Remember, this is only one of his amazing properties full of antique treasures.
Do you yourself have an obsession with antiques? A collection of historical treasures? Maybe just a curio cabinet full of historical artifacts? Let us know in the comments below all about your favorite pieces. Maybe one day in the future, we'll be interviewing you. Thanks for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.